The Young and the Restless Spoilers. Oh my God. Welcome back to the channel, besties. Today is Tuesday, a beautiful sunny day outside, but inside my house, it is an absolute disaster zone because I just watched the latest episode and I am physically unwell. We are diving straight into the madness right now because I genuinely cannot hold this in for another second. You guys, I am deceased. Stop what you're doing right this exact second because we need to talk about this now. I am literally shaking. Send help. My soul has actually left my body. I am filming this while I am literally running errands, walking through the grocery store looking like an absolute maniac because I just had to jump on here and vent to you guys. We're not just watching this show anymore, we are invested. I am personally offended by what just went down, and it feels like a direct attack on my nervous system. Talk about insane, world-ending tea. I was mid-skincare when this scene dropped, and I literally smeared my charcoal mask all over my expensive white rug because I had to yeet my phone across the room in pure, unadulterated shock. Jack Abbott is basically bleeding out on the floor, and I am hyperventilating in the frozen food aisle. This is a high-octane psychological masterpiece, and the stakes are genuinely astronomical right now. I cannot even process the level of cinematic mayhem we just witnessed. Wait, backtrack for a second. I missed a step because my brain is just straight up mush right now. Did I say that yet? My brain is mush. Moving on, we need to rewind to how we even got to this literal bloodbath. So, Diane Jenkins Abbott finally gets rescued from that completely unhinged padded cell situation. You remember Dr. Lawrence Markham, who might actually be Martin Laurent with a new face. Yeah, that whole dumpster fire. Patty Williams was basically blackmailing Jack, straight up telling him he had to sleep with her, like recreate their yacht magic, which is honestly so unhinged if he ever wanted to see his wife again. And don't even get me started on the vibes of Patty's whole aesthetic during that blackmail scene. It was giving major 90s thriller villain in the worst way possible. Anyway, Diane is finally free, but the drama is literally just getting started, and I am already sweating. Oh, hold on. I should have mentioned this earlier, but Jack is absolutely not having it anymore. The second he knows Diane is safe and rescued, he completely flips the script on Patty. He marches right up to her. And bestie, be for real right now. Jack Lot Chun, Beaumont Jartout Patty. He completely exposes her fake, manipulative facade. He reads her to absolute filth, calling out every single disgusting thing she did to orchestrate Diane's kidnapping. He is furious, disgusted, and just entirely done with her delusional obsession. He genuinely thought he had the upper hand, thinking he could just verbally destroy her, expose her absolute insanity, and walk away clean. But, like, has Jack never met Patty Williams? She is officially on my do not perceive list, but you cannot just back a wild, delusional, cornered animal into a wall and expect her to just cry and apologize. She is entirely unhinged. So Jack is screaming, Patty is screaming, and I am literally clutching my chest because the tension is so thick you could cut it with a literal chainsaw. Patty gets so unbelievably triggered by Jack rejecting her and exposing her lies that she just snaps. Like her brain legitimately buffers and then goes straight into goblin mode. The argument turns physical so fast it gave me whiplash. Jack is a tall, strong guy, but Patty has that straight-up manic, adrenaline-fueled strength. They are pushing, shoving, and it is absolute cinematic mayhem. Jack completely underestimates how violent she is willing to get. He doesn't expect her to be this reckless, this mondonk. He thinks it's just a screaming match, but Patty is basically operating on a frequency of pure, unfiltered chaos. I am screaming at my screen, "Jack, run! She is crazy!" But he just stands there trying to reason with a brick wall of insanity. And then you guys, I cannot even. Patty pulls a knife out of nowhere. And before Jack can even process what is happening, she stabs him straight in the abdomen. I scream so loud, my neighbors probably think I'm being murdered. Jack's face just drops. The shock in his eyes is genuinely haunting, and he collapses. He is just lying there on the floor, bleeding out, completely unconscious, in a massive pool of blood. It's giving major Shakespearean tragedy, but like messier and with way more toxic ex-girlfriend energy. I am physically vibrating from the sheer audacity of this plot. How did we go from a blackmail scheme to an attempted homicide in the span of 5 minutes? I'm so unwell, I need a paper bag to breathe into. I legit had to pause the episode and walk laps around my kitchen because my heart rate was at an unhealthy level. Wait, I'm glitching. Okay, back to the main event. Because just when you think the scene is over and we are going to fade to black on Jack's bleeding torso, the door flies open. And who walks in? Diane freaking Jenkins. Abbott. Diane, who has literally just survived being held hostage in a barred room by a corrupt psychiatrist, walks into this room and sees the love of her life lying in a literal puddle of his own blood. The camera pans to her face, and the absolute devastation mixed with instantaneous, terrifying rage is an acting masterclass. She doesn't even need to ask what happened. She looks at the scene, and she immediately knows. She knows with every fiber of her being that there's only one person on this entire planet sick enough, twisted enough, and obsessed enough with Jack to do this. Patty Williams. And let's really dissect the psychology here for a second, because I am a literal armchair detective at this point. Diane knows it's Patty, because who else has this specific brand of unhinged vendetta? Patty has been terrorizing this family for decades. She poisoned Summer. She stole identities. She blackmailed Jack for sex while Diane was locked in a cell. Diane's brain doesn't even have to do the math. The math is already mathing perfectly. The sheer audacity of Patty to try and murder Jack after everything else fails is just, well. Diane's villain arc is officially activating, and I am totally living for it, but also terrified. You can see the exact moment Diane's soul leaves her body and is replaced by pure, unadulterated vengeance. The look in her eyes is straight up lethal. So what does Diane do? Does she call 911? Does she scream for help? No. Bestie, she walks right over to the puddle of blood and she picks up the bloody knife. I am literally hyperventilating right now. Diane grabs the knife and her eyes are completely dead. She wants revenge. She wants to kill Patty Williams. And honestly, I am spiraling over her choices. But a dark, twisted part of me is like, yes, girl, end her. But also no, because that is murder. Diane is standing there, clutching this weapon, and she is ready to risk it all. She wants to make Patty pay for every single ounce of pain she has caused Jack. For the kidnapping, for the blackmail, for the stabbing. It is a full-on, high-octane psychological break, and Diane is ready to cross the ultimate line. I am genuinely terrified of what she is about to do. But wait, it gets even more chaotic, because Diane doesn't just stand there posing with a knife. She launches herself at Patty. It is a straight-up brawl. Diane is beating Patty so savagely, it is genuinely hard to watch, but also impossible to look away. She is throwing hands, pulling hair, slamming her around the room. Diane is unleashing weeks of pent-up trauma from being locked in that padded cell. combined with the sheer terror of seeing Jack bleeding out. She is beating Patty Daman like brutally, mercilessly. I'm sitting here screaming at my screen, "Get her, Diane!" But also drop the knife. It feels like a manic voice note sent to the group chat at 4 a.m., totally extra, zero chill, and purely human. Diane is fighting for her life, her husband's life, and her sanity all at once. It is the most intense thing I have ever seen on daytime television. But here is the most terrifying part, and don't even get me started on the vibes, because they are putrid. Patty is not giving up. You would think after getting exposed by Jack, stabbing him, and then getting brutally beaten by a traumatized Diane, Patty would just crumble. But no, Patty is taking these hits and she is fighting back with this terrifying, relentless energy. She is like a horror movie villain that just keeps sitting back up after you hit them with a car. She will not back down. She is so deeply entrenched in her own delusions that she genuinely believes she is the victim here, or she just doesn't care anymore because if she can't have Jack, no one can. The resilience of Patty Williams is honestly a case study in clinical insanity. She is taking a savage beating and still swinging back. Oh my God. Random tangent, but did you guys notice the weird background noise during this fight scene? It sounded like a ticking clock or maybe a dripping faucet, and it was driving me absolutely insane. It added this weird, eerie Edgar Allan Poe heartbeat vibe to the whole bloodbath. And the lighting, it was so dim and moody, like they were fighting in a literal dungeon instead of a regular room. Did they change the set design just for this? Okay, sorry. My ADHD is showing. Snapping back to the absolute mess I was witnessing. So Diane is beating Patty. Patty is fighting back, and Jack is still just bleeding out on the floor. I am clutching my pillow, screaming into it, because someone needs to call an ambulance. The stakes are astronomical, and I am too unwell to handle this. And let's be real for a second, besties. Diane wanting to kill Patty is a massive, terrible, life-ruining mistake. Yes, we are all angry. Yes, Patty deserves to be locked in a dark hole forever. But murder? If Diane kills Patty, she is going to end up in a real prison, not just a fake padded cell run by a corrupt doctor. It would make everything so incredibly complicated. The legal mess, the scandal, the trauma for Kyle. Jack is already dying on the floor. He doesn't need his wife catching a murder charge while he's in surgery. It's such a bad idea, but Diane is so blinded by rage and grief that she isn't thinking straight. She just wants to eliminate the threat. This betrayal by the universe personally attacked my soul. I have spent years defending Diane's redemption arc, and if she throws it all away to shank Patty Williams, I will personally sue the writers for emotional damages. I am manifesting that someone bursts through that door and stops her, because if she actually does it, I am going to need a week off work to process the grief. I am calling it right now. The villain arc is about to go nuclear, manifesting a total dumpster fire by the next update, because there is no way this ends cleanly. Either Jack dies, which honestly I will riot, Diane goes to prison for murder, or Patty escapes and becomes a literal phantom haunting Genoa City. My grip on reality is completely slipping, making it absolutely clear that this situation is now my entire personality, and I am not okay. I am physically exhausted from watching this. I need a nap, I need a therapist, and I need the next episode immediately. Let me know in the comments if you guys are as devastated and unhinged as I am right now, because I cannot be alone in this